Please don't make up stories and call it reality. It's very undignified, and more importantly, it's very harmful. If you say something like, there's a God who watches out for us and takes care of us and makes sure that we're not given more than we can bear, then you set up a situation where you base your decisions and actions on these false beliefs. And this can and does lead to a lot of negative experiences for countless sentient beings. There is no God. There are no gods. They don't exist. They never did, and they never will. Humans made it up. They make up a lot of stories. And then they call it reality. What I mean by reality is how things really affect sentient beings, how sentient beings experience them. And people use this made up story of a god to invade other lands and other people and to take over their resources and to take over the government and to exploit and enslave the people. And they say it's all in it's their God's will that they do it, that it's their manifest destiny. It's their promised land. And they use all these fictional stories to rationalize causing so much so much hurt and agony, and they hide behind this God to commit their atrocities. Let's look at another example. In the Bible, it says that man has dominion over the animals. And how many people use that as an excuse to exploit animals and to treat them horribly? It's okay, right? It's okay if God says so. If God says something's okay, then it doesn't matter. If God says it's okay to enslave an animal and imprison it and beat it and slit its throat and manhandle it very roughly, then it's okay because your God said it was okay? I don't think so. Don't use your God as an excuse to harm humans or any other animals. That is very cruel. Don't hide behind a God. It's you that are making those decisions. You're the one that's saying that it's okay to treat sentient beings like that. Another tale told by humans is that this is a just world, and that if something bad happens to you, it must be because you did something wrong. For example, if you go to prison, then you must have done something to deserve that. Even if you didn't commit the crime that you were sent to prison for, you must have been in the wrong place at the wrong time or done something else to deserve to go to prison. And that is so untrue, and it dismisses the great injustice that it is for somebody who does nothing wrong but still has to go through the awful experience of prison. This isn't a just world. Something terrible can happen to even the people and other animals that have the purest heart and that are the most innocent. And there's the made up story that pain is an illusion, and that if you train yourself that you can avoid pain and not suffer. And this is a very dangerous story. And it isn't the case that you can train yourself to not suffer at all. Everyone will be able to suffer in some ways, no matter what. And the pain is real. There are nerves, there are nociceptors, there's pain receptors, there are neurons, there are brains that process pain. And to say that this is an illusion is clearly false. There is ample evidence that the pain happens and that it's experienced by sentient beings. Another made-up story by humans that somehow nature is wise and knows what it's doing, and that it should be followed and not we should just go with it instead of questioning it or rebelling against it or refusing to do what it has programmed us to do. Well, guess what? It also programmed us to be able to rebel. And that's what we should do, is rebel against nature and all of the terrible things it's done to so many sentient beings, and just say, oh, we're not going to let you do this to us. We're going to use our capacity for reason and for morality and compassion, and we're going to go against this, and we're going to do what's in what's best for sentient beings, and what's best for them is to not come into existence. Coming into existence is never a benefit. It's always a harm, and it's always better to not come into existence. That's what we should be doing, using our mental capacities to figure that out instead of saying nature made us this way, so let's keep on fueling the misery train. Another story made up by humans that everything happens for a reason or it's meant to be. No, things happen, but none of them are meant to be. You could say there's a reason they happen, but there's no purpose behind it. There's no guiding force, some magical force or being that's making it that way. That's that's controlling things, and yeah, all this trying to justify uh, all the terrible experiences that one goes through themselves or that others go through, and then to say that it's meant to be, that's so offensive. That's your excuse for it. That's you trying to make yourself feel better. But the suffering is real, and any story you make up to try and uh, ameliorate that suffering is just, it fails. That's just ridiculous. I mean, saying that a rape happens for a reason, like saying that that a guy raped a woman and then she gets pregnant and she can't get an abortion because it was meant to be. That baby was meant to be. It's not meant to be. Nobody's meant to get raped. To go through that horrible experience. Nobody. Nobody is meant to be born. Just stories you're making up. And look at the damage they do. That's why it's not. You can't just keep making up this stuff and thinking that it's okay and that it's harmless when the evidence is in and the evidence demonstrates just how harmful these beliefs based on no merit are. Another story made up by humans that there's an afterlife, and so all the suffering and effort of life is worth it because then after this life it's just going to be paradise and bliss and everything's going to be all right and it'll make it all worth it. No. Another fable. Just to give you comfort and to excuse all of your all the harm you do, and to just avoid having to face reality and just escaping into some fantasy while causing so much harm. There is no afterlife. There is no heaven or Nirvana or Brahma or some cosmic consciousness. That you'll become a part of after you die. That's made up. You don't. You will die and your body will decompose, and that will be the end of your consciousness. Stop this um, this foolish activity of making up stories and calling it reality. We should instead look at reality for what it is and admit that it's causing so much harm, and not bring more sentient beings into existence that will have to experience it.